I'm also the professional staff that oversaw Cal Poly's own.
Hi everyone, thank you all for being here. My name is Emma de la Rosa and I'm the Graduate Assistant for the Gender Equity Center and also the Student Producer for Cal Poly's own. We're very excited to have you all here. We've been working very hard and we are super happy to see a full house. Super excited. So for those of you who don't know, the GEC is part of the cross-cultural centers. It's the Multicultural Center, the Pride Center, and then the Gender Equity Center. The GEC provides support, mentorship, educational programs, and events all year long to educate and empower self-identified women, encourage positive masculinity, and break societal expectations of gender.
So once again, we would like to welcome you to Cal Poly's own, which stands for Original Women's Narratives, Powerful Stories, Voices of Storytelling. So we're going to be up here for a minute, so bear with us. We have a lot to go over. So a little bit of history about how Cal Poly's own came to be. It kind of started with this little thing we like to call the Vagina Monologues. I see we have some vagina warriors in the audience. Okay, so for those of you who know, and for those of you who don't, the Vagina Monologues is a play that was written in 1996 by a woman named Eve Ensler. She was an author and an activist. And so she had this idea of interviewing about 200 women about their vaginas. Who would have thought, right? So as you can imagine, it opened up a lot of crazy topics and issues and experiences, ranging from birth to orgasms to, yes, I said orgasms, to relationships, to sexual violence, you name it, it was talked about. And so she compiled all those testimonies together and she created the Vagina Monologues. And it was, I would be the first to say, it was way ahead of its time, especially in 1996, to be talking about those kinds of things. It really broke the silence and the shame that was associated with a lot of those topics. But that was in 1996. It was probably written before a lot of y'all were born. A little freshmen in the house? No? Yes? Okay. And so what was really progressive and at the forefront of social justice in 1996 isn't really reflective of what's happening now. There's a lot of things missing. Everything in the Vagina Monologues is very relevant, but there were some gaps. As a coordinator of the Gender Equity Center, I have the honor of working with students every day, and I hear a lot of the stories and the experiences and their identities that they come to me with. So I was hearing the frustration of being the only woman in their STEM class. I was hearing the experience of being a woman of color at a predominantly white campus. I was hearing the struggles of coming to a very affluent campus and maybe not being at that socioeconomic level. There was a lot of things that were so important, but that weren't really mentioned in some of the signature programs like the Vagina Monologues. So even though it was great, it was missing. There was gaps. And so I started wondering where are all these stories? How are we going to be able to be a more progressive and inclusive campus and really reflect the experiences and the identities of these students if we're only depending on this one thing that was written 20 years ago? And so, jokingly, I was like, what are we going to do, write our own? And those are my famous last words. And so that's kind of how the Vagina Monologues came to be, and I wish it was as easy as bibbidi-bobbidi-boo, but it took about 3 months of just brainstorming. Me and Emma would just sit in my office and be like, all right, so how are we going to do this? We don't have a theater background, really nothing about. I'm a social justice oriented person. I do events and programs and education. That's my background. And so we went to the students who are amazing here at Cal Poly, and we really wanted to do empowerment. So we said, well, we can't write it because that's not really my spiritual gift. So we asked students to submit their stories so that their voices could be heard, because storytelling is such an important and powerful form of expression and art and can uplift. And the Cross-Cultural Center does that a lot. The I Am Cal Poly campaign is a perfect example of that. So I lost my train of thought. Okay, so anyway, we had over 29 stories submitted to us by about 26 people. It might be give or take a few on that. And they ranged the gamut, and we were able to stitch them together, and there was, I think, 7 people in our our script writing committee who took those stories and put them together, and that is the script that you're going to see here tonight. In addition, we had about 11 people on our production team, including the directors, the graphic designer, and the photographer, and then all of the people that created everything that you're seeing tonight. And it took a village to make this, and so we wouldn't have been able to do it, all those people. I know thank yous are usually said at the end, but then it's like all emotional, people are crying, and it's just like, we might as well do it now. It took a lot of people to create this, and I've been here for about 3.5, 4 years, and I've never seen so much personal investment and pride and heart and soul and sweat and tears, and I'm sure there was paper cuts involved, so blood, all of that put into a production, and I'm really, really proud to say that this is the most diverse cast we have ever had at Cal Poly, which is a lot. But reflective of the inclusivity and intersectionality of the experiences. So regarding culture, race, gender, socioeconomic status, Greek representation, majors. I've never had so many STEM majors involved, and it's just amazing to see everybody come together and to really see their voices being shared on this platform. As the coordinator, I see transformative experiences, and it was really nice to see it happening through this lens. I would like to say that we know that this isn't perfect, and we never really want it to be perfect, because social justice is always trying to be evolving. And so we know that there's a lot of stories and identities and intersectional experiences that aren't going to be talked about today, but we hope that this year is an inspiration so that other people can submit their stories and share their voices, and that every year it evolves and it gets bigger and it's way more inclusive of all of the experiences that our female and women identified students are going through. And for me, Hope OWN is that sense of empowerment, and we really wanted to step away from the Vagina Monologues to create something of our own. So yeah, it's a little bit about how it came to be, and we were basically given the go in about September, August to do this, and so we didn't really start until January, so we built this from the bottom up in about 5.5 months, and I've learned it's hard. It's hard to do that, so props to theater people. Woo! So we just wanted to say a big thank you, and we really wanted you all to know the history of what happened, because we hope that will change kind of your lens about what you're seeing on stage tonight, and that you know all of the heart and passion and soul and love that was put out there to create this today.
So on top of that, Cal Poly's OWN is more than a play. This is artivism. And that being said, we have an art gallery in the back, and all of the submissions are student submissions. But we had a little art workshop, and we had self-identified female students come in and make their art pieces. So I encourage you all to go by there and see the inspirational pieces that they made. Also, we have our swag table that you can all enjoy during intermission or at the end of the show. And our research table featuring Triota, Panhellenic, USFC, SAFER, Counseling Services, RISE, and the cross-cultural centers.
In addition, we have a photo booth in the back. We have a photo booth in the back. I'm trying to stay hip with the hashtags on social media. We tried to get a Snapchat filter, it didn't work. But hashtag Cal Poly's OWN. Please tag all your pictures so we can find them and we can post them, and maybe we can inspire other universities to do the same thing. And so, in addition, we would also like to thank the cast and the crew for their amazing dedication to the show. I know a lot of people came in like very last minute, so we weren't able to put them in the program, but we wanted to thank Jeff in the back, who's going to be filming everything. If you all have needs for the film, we should definitely hit him up. He's amazing. And then a little shout out to Nathan, who came in to basically do everything. I'm the event planner. I don't know what happens in the stage stuff, so he came. did it. I'm really happy. And so, let's see, what else? And then of course, a huge, like I never can say enough words to this, but thank you to our directors, Taylor and Molly. I don't know where they are. Phenomenal, amazing, strong women, and you will see what they are capable of, and they are responsible for the magic that is happening on stage. Not just on stage, but the magic that happens within the cast, because there's definitely a transformative bond that took place over the past few months with the cast, and they're responsible for all of that. So a big shout out, and thank you for the talent, the creativity, the passion, and the patience for putting up with our crazy throughout the past, like, what, 5 months, 3.5 months? Yeah. And over here, I see my babies, my production team over here. If you all need anything, questions, comments, concerns, proclamations, they're over here, and they will be here if you need anything. So please let any one of us know, and we are there to assist you.
Lastly, we have some housekeeping to do before we begin. So we are aware that some of the stories that are going to be presented today are deal with sensitive material. So we do have state certified counselors and therapists throughout the show. Should you need support, if you can please raise your hand if you are a therapist or a counselor.
So you can stand because I know it's kind of dark.
Yeah, they're up here in the front. So if you need them. Out to them, they are here for you. Also, please remember to help our actresses, no flash photography. Also, if you have candy or cough drops, please unwrap those now. We don't want any weird noises throughout the show. Please make sure to turn off your phones on silent, not on vibrate, because that makes noises also. And if possible, please wait to go to the restroom during intermission. And if not, please try to get up very quietly. Also, we have assessments in the program. Please fill those out and leave them on the chair, or we will also have a little basket at the ticket table. As you leave, you can leave them there.
The assessments are super, super important. The Cal Poly is the programs that we do in the Gender Equity Center. We really fight for our funding based on the feedback that we get. So good or bad or indifferent, it really, really helps us to get that feedback so that we can continue to improve our programs, to do more, to do less, to keep doing what we're doing. So it really, really helps. So please, please, please fill those out. And then I don't think there's food left, but if there is, wait to get food or beverages until intermission or after the show. Yeah, it's polite. It's cool. All right, I think we're about done. So thank you for being here with us tonight and for being agents of social change. We hope that you enjoy Cal Poly Zone tonight as much as we enjoy making it. Hopefully it's a lot less stressful for you to watch. So, so yeah, thank you for being part of Cal Poly history.
When asked why she felt the need to create the Vagina Monologues, Eve Ensler stated, "I was worried about my own vagina. It needed a context of other vaginas, a community, a culture of vaginas. There's so much darkness and secrecy surrounding them, like the Bermuda Triangle."
For over 10 years, Cal Poly has been solving the mystery of the vagina, answering questions about childbirth, orgasms, rape, body hair, and other taboo topics. This year, the Gender Equity Center has been inspired to cancel the Vagina Monologues in order to create and produce our very own show called Cal Poly's Own, Original Women's Narratives, Powerful Voices of Storytelling.
The Vagina Monologues was considered a beloved tradition at Cal Poly, an annual celebration of the vagina. But womanhood isn't just a vagina.
A fallible being who wants to know your secrets, your shames, your glories, your dreams.
A wandering soul who wants to be your sanctuary, your guide, your confidant, your co-conspirator.
I am not a mystery. I am a woman who wants to be your partner.
Will you still have me now that this mystery has been solved?
When Eve sinned and ate the fruit in the garden, that's probably the moment we were doomed. Doomed not just to fucking painful childbirth, but to knowledge. Knowledge of the misfortune of our sex, of the suffering of our sisters, of the crimes committed and ignored on our bodies.
Woman, you will count your days in birth control pills.
Woman, you have a heart with the density of a dwarf star and be 100% sure that at all times it could kill you.
Woman, you will let the world skin your knees. Pencils in hand, recently sharpened, they will scrape into you the fiction that they want you to be. You will be a listener and not a speaker. You will hold their insecurities, their joys. You will hold fucking everything for them because it's not about you. You will be used as an accessory and a backup and a 16th priority and never the choice but always the settle. Because the world is only capable of seeing you through its tunnel vision eyes, so it loses all the curves and dimensions that you truly are.
Woman, you have a heart made of sticks. You'll spend your time running from thunder only to find lightning. People will put fish hooks into your heart and leave you floundering. You will have countless nights where you lay and taste the floor with your arms wrapped so tightly around your body, you are literally holding yourself together. These are the terms and conditions set forth to you by God, by Eve, since the beginning of time, to the woman.
Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie is a famous Nigerian author and feminist who's been doing powerful and impactful work regarding women and feminism well before Beyonce sampled parts of the talk she gave on feminism in her song, Flawless. In the quote Beyonce used, she gives a definition of feminism. Every feminist has her own idea of what she believes feminism is to her, but the masses have adopted Adichie's own definition because of Beyonce's influence. She defines feminist as the person who believes in the social, political, and economic equality of the sexes.
Go on. Tell me more about how we don't need feminism. Tell me that women don't have it that bad. Tell me that we've made it, and that we're just a bunch of whiny little girls with no reason to be mad. You think we've got it good, right? We get free drinks at bars, and that's what really matters. Well, the women I know would much rather have equal pay or that glass ceiling finally shattered. If I ever have a daughter one day, I don't want her to live like me. Walking home alone with not enough hands to hold out her key to stab, her mace for spraying, and her phone pre-dialed to 911. I don't want her to go to college and be roofied into submission, or be 21, innocently standing by the bar and have her backside fully groped without her permission. I don't want her to think she's not pretty enough, and that her worth is determined by the approval of a man friends who have been sexually assaulted that she can't even count them on two hands. Don't tell me we don't need feminism. Come talk to me when you've already told someone no 5 or 6 times, and only when your guy friend tells them to leave do they change their minds. Come talk to me when you've had your voice squandered and your feminine problems belittled and mocked. Talk to me when you've been shamed for your body's natural processes and you were so angry that all you could do was sob. And you say us women are the ultimate hypocrites, that we want equality but still want to be treated like princesses. Well, those aren't the feminists that I know. And your convenient ignorance needs to go. We don't need your chivalry, we just need your damn respect. I'll hold the door open for you. I'll pay the fucking check. I'm not a man-hater who runs around birding bras. I love men, just not the patriarchy. And besides, do you know how much these cost? That is not my feminism, and I demand that my womanhood be celebrated. So when you ask,
If it's about gender equality, then why do you only talk about women?
then I know you're clearly not educated, because men aren't the historically marginalized gender. It's our equality that's been denied and our body agency revoked. White male privilege is knowing that you would have never had to fight for the right to vote. So I'll wear my feminist title proud, and I'll stand tall with anyone who wants to scream our message loud, and no matter how many ignorant insults you hurl my way, or how much you try to invalidate the things I say, you can't stop me from knowing what I know by living as a woman each day. We need feminism, and we're not going away.
Being a feminist is not only about political power. Women's, mujerista, these two are titles of empowerment for women of color. Our multiple identities have created unique women's movements to reflect our struggles and goals. Sandra Cisneros, a Chicana feminist and activist, said, I guess my feminism and my race are the same thing to me. They're tied in one to another, and I don't feel an allegiance or an alliance to upper class women. I can listen to them, and on some level, as a human being, I feel great compassion and friendship. But they have to move from their territory to mine, because I know their world, but they don't know mine.
I am from the high ceilings and warm lighting. I am from multiple trilingual tongues: Spanish, academia, community, and home. I am from es difícil, but hay que seguir adelante. I am from my mother's perfume and courage to truly love. I am from colorful and bright paintings proudly depicting my cultura. I am from enchiladas. I am from arroz con leche y agua de canela. Tacos al pastor and pasta. I am from beans and tortillas, the basic necessities. I am from Mija, I love you. I am from Chapulín, Chapulín, a veces pareces una lombriz, pero tienes cuerpo de chapulín. I am from ¿Cómo estás? Al nivel del mar. I am from Cabrona. I am from Hi Mommy. I am from Los Temerarios and Frank Sinatra. I am from hip hop and Juan Gabriel. I am from bachata and salsa. I am from Vicente Fernandez and R&B and 80s music. I am from 90s music and Marco Antonio Solís. I am from my great-grandmother. I am from my people, mi comunidad latina.
I am from Maldonado, Ramirez, Cortez, Meraz. I am from people who embody the lucharon por justicia. I am from my raza. I am from addressing all the isms. I am from my estudiantes and their potential. I am from your liberation is tied with mine and mine con la tuya. I am from Diosito. That is love.
I'd be giving up to society all the femininity in me that I love. So I stand before you, a man and a woman, gender fluid and agender, at the same time, with the only thing I can prove to people who won't listen. I have breasts. Please accept me. They won't let me in anywhere else.
expectations for us. The absurd standards asked of women are best summed up by comedian Tina Fey when she says, "Every girl is expected to have Caucasian blue eyes, full Spanish lips, a classic button nose, hairless Asian skin with a California tan, a Jamaican dance hall ass, long Swedish legs, small Japanese feet, the abs of a lesbian gym owner, the hips of a 9-year-old boy, the arms of Michelle Obama, and doll tits."
You are told when you're told that if you don't like your flabby thighs, you should work to change them. You are 15 when your lunch begins to be stolen on a regular basis, but it's not like you really needed the food anyway. You're already too fat as it is. You are 16 when you join a team sport. You joined it because you like the other girls. Instead of quitting, you just try to stop eating. You are 17 when skipping meals becomes easier. The stress is unbearable and the worry threatens to swallow you whole. There's nothing you can control except what you eat, and it's so easy to just ignore the pains of your stomach and keep working instead. You are 18 when he says that he loves you, says that you're beautiful, but his hands are always pushing your boundaries. He makes you believe that your ability to be loved is tied to the way you look. A firm no turns into maybe, then into silence. You stay because his smile is nice and he tells you sweet things. He doesn't say anything when you make your meals smaller, and that means that you must be doing something right. You are 19 when things take a turn for the worse. Panic attacks become the norm. The panic manifests itself through stretches of time that make your heart beat too fast and your mind race until you feel sick. Maybe if you're skinnier, the panic attacks will stop. You are 21 and you now know that your worth is not attached to your appearance. There are still days that are hard, where you skip lunch or stare at your stomach in the mirror and wish it was gone. Days where you can only look at your thighs and think about how fat they are. But there's a girl now who asks you to try to take care of yourself instead of berating you for the days you relapse. Your friends are patient with you on bad days and encourage you on good days. And you swear that you can imagine a future where you no longer want to throw up your food after an awful day. You are 21 now, and there are still skinny, beautiful girls plastered on magazines, on television, everywhere on your face. But you are 21 now, and you're finally learning to make a home with your bones.
My inner labia hangs lower than my outer labia, a neat curtain, if you will. After I heard this term for the first time, I looked it up on UrbanDictionary.com. The definition, the long, overly stretched out lips of a pussy often resembling Philly cheesesteak, also known as elephant ears, crackers, mudflats, pounded cube steak patties, dangly gizzard, and last but not least, the giblet pouch. The example
wants me to believe I'm bad, and God knows why. Maybe she wants me to see the problem and fix it. Maybe she wants to bring me down to her level. I'm not too sure which one it is. But I do know one thing. She did her job and she did it well. I want to love myself so bad, but every time I get within arm's reach, I get put right back in my place. I found this woman online who also suffers from this problem. She bemoaned at the fact that she was not endowed with, and I quote, a perfect little slip. Her questions: is having a large labia minora honestly a turnoff? Or is having a labiaplasty an even bigger one? Labiaplasty, a definition, surgery to alter the vulva. Snipping it, clipping it, making it smaller, tighter, symmetrical, a designer vagina, inspired by porn stars, encouraged by the patriarchy, increasing in girls under age 18, the perfect vagina. Does this make you uncomfortable?
I hate the idea that women are hairless creatures. This is just not true, especially for me. I'm hairier than some guys I know, and that's perfectly normal. It has taken me a really long time to come to peace with my hairiness. I'm not fully there yet, but I love the feeling of getting closer and closer to it with every day that passes.
I found this woman online who also suffered from this problem.
stimulation inside the vagina, such as with a penis, tampon, or fingers, can cause painful muscle spasms that can leave them short of breath.
I was also diagnosed with provoked vestibulodynia.
This means that any stimulation at the entrance of her vagina triggers nerves to send pain signals.
It took 6 years, 6 clinicians, and countless appointments to diagnose and begin treatment for both of these conditions. I first noticed the pain when I was 15. The first time I used a tampon, I thought I had inserted a knife instead. I eventually stopped using tampons altogether. I didn't think about the pain again until I was 15, the first time I had penetrative sex. It was awful. And after 6 months without relief, I asked my doctor for advice. She told me,
Oh, you're probably doing it wrong. Just use some lube.
the internet was equally as unhelpful. So I was back to painful one-sided sex with my boyfriend. Doggy style became our favorite position because if I winced or cried from the pain, it wouldn't kill the mood because he couldn't see my face. We've been having this kind of sex for a while and I felt pressure to continue. He often told me I had to work harder to fix my problem. We broke up after 5 years and he told me that, honestly, sex with me had never been great and he wished I had a normal vagina. I was furious that he had the audacity to say such a thing to me, but it also worried me. I wanted to have future sexual relationships, but I wondered if that would even be possible when men like my boyfriend thought that penetrative sex was so important. When I was 18, I had my first appointment with an OBGYN. I told her about the pain and she referred me to a pelvic pain specialist who didn't see me for another year. When I finally did see her, she confirmed that I had pelvic floor dysfunction, and she decided to test for vestibulodynia.
Testing for vestibulodynia is done by lightly touching the entrance of the vagina with a Q-tip to see if it produces a pain response. For her, it did.
So now I had 2 diagnoses and a real treatment plan. Dilation every night and physical therapy every week until we had some results.
Dilators are tapered devices used to slowly stretch the walls of the vagina so that penetration is more comfortable. Dilator sets typically come in a wide variety of sizes so that the user can start with a size that is most useful for them.
It took me a year to adapt to the levels 1, 2, and 3 dilators. But now I'm using the level 4, which, based on my experience, is about the average diameter of a penis. And after 5 years of searching for a solution and 1 year of therapy every single day, I decided to enter the world of Tinder. I identify as pansexual.
Pansexual, omnisexual, non-monosexual. People who claim these sexual identities often look past the gender binary when becoming romantically or sexually attracted to a person's individual expression of gender.
But anyone who's ever used a dating app at Cal Poly knows there are men aplenty. My first hookup was with Mike. I was upfront with him about my pain. I told him I was willing to try penetrative sex, but that it could be uncomfortable and even painful for me, so I'd like to take it slow. He didn't understand that, and I didn't see him again. My next hookup was a few weeks later with Kimberly. There were questions about preferences, and then I had non-painful, non-penetrative sex for the first time. It wasn't great sex, but it blew my mind. Since then, I haven't had penetrative sex. I've tried to educate as many people as possible about my dysfunction, that it can happen at any age, and there is so much more to sex than just penetration.
stigmatized and taboo subject in this country. It's easier to understand health or illness in the form of a broken leg or a cough or a kidney infection. But whether it's on your body where you can see it, or in somewhere more invisible, like our heart or our brain, it's still very real. So the next time someone expresses emotional pain, consider this before making a judgment. From the outside looking in, it's hard to understand. From the inside looking out, it's hard to explain.
If I had $1 for each time I heard someone say, the weather is slow, is so bipolar, I'd probably have enough money to see a therapist. I need to stand up here and say this. If only being bipolar were as simple as the changes in the weather in this idyllic town. If my brain most often felt like the 80-degree, sunny, breezy paradise with the occasional gusty day or seasonal rain, I would feel blessed. But my bipolar brain is very different. At one moment, I'm Icarus, carried higher by my fragile wings, approaching the tempting, burning energy of the manic sun. I feel untouchable, strong, and invincible. But my beautiful shining mania can only go so high before it starts to melt. Even as I rocket toward the sun, I start to fall. The clamor of my energetic mind, too much for my body, no. My mania is not always radiant. Sometimes it gathers in the blackest, most terrifying storm clouds. The lightning of my self-hatred crackles and cuts, striking deep lines on my arms and legs as I try to find an outlet for what I feel. My body is crisscrossed with scars from my storm. Is this the weather you were thinking of? Then there's the gloom, the chilling gloom. It feels like I'm drowning in a bottomless, deep gray fog, and I just keep sinking and sinking farther from the light of day. Experience has shown me that if I can wait, the fog will at some point slowly lift. But every time it closes around me, it feels like the only escape is to end myself before it ends me. To jump, to swallow the pills, to make the cut. The periods in between are never a relief. I don't experience breezy, lazy sunshine, but an electric hum, a metallic taste of the calm before the storm. I don't know which way my mind will go or when it will happen. I'm weary of the direction my mind will take. But every now and then, in a rare and special moment, I experience the sublime tranquility of a perfect slow day. My mind is calm, and I'm at peace.
Nancy's rule was, we all had to wear bras. I felt my cheeks turn red. I wondered if the others wore them already. I didn't think Janie did, because she looked down at the floor after Nancy said it. Gretchen's rule was, the first one to get her period had to tell the others all about it, especially how it feels.
I was not prepared for my period, And no, it wasn't because I didn't know about it or wasn't expecting it. It was because I was outrageously misinformed. Misinformed by one Miss Judy Blue.
Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret. I just told my mother I want a bra. Please help me grow, God. You know where.
When I was 4 or 5, I went to one of the kids' shows during Shakespeare in the Park. I don't remember much but you see the comedy and the actress's breasts. I was too young to know they were sexual, just that they were pleasing to my eye. Perfectly perky and motherly. I thought, that's the size I pick.
Throughout elementary and middle school, I sped through Judy Blue books. But more than anything, what caught the attention of my 10-year-old mind was just how fixated all the girls were on getting their periods. They went on about how getting your period meant becoming a woman, growing boobs and attracting boys.
In 3rd grade, I knew I was different, and I began to realize I wasn't going to get to pick my size. By the time my mom allowed me to graduate from makeshift swimsuit tops and sports bras, I was a C cup and in 5th grade.
But Judy Bloom lied to me.
I heard people talking about you. They were saying Jerry's little sister had huge boobs.
Maybe things were different in the 70s when those books were written. Maybe periods weren't regarded as literal pains, but honored rites of passages.
I was barely 12. It didn't matter. I had stopped being a child years ago. I couldn't just be a girl. I couldn't blend in because a part of me stuck out a little more than others, and that could not be ignored.
In the 6th grade, my best friend turned to me in the middle of art class and whispered she had gotten her period for the first time. Judy made period sound so exciting, so enthusiastically I told her, "Congratulations!" with an engagement announcement. I received a blank stare and a rather confused, "Why?" My friend then informed me of just the opposite of what Judy had taught me. There's nothing about getting your period that's worth celebrating.
In 8th grade, I forgot to bring an extra sports bra to gym class. The straps in my bra snapped when I was running. I scrounged up safety pins and quietly pieced them together in the bathroom at lunch. Girls in the locker room had brightly colored bras, lacy patterns, padding. I had beige, skin tone, grandma bras.
The summer after 6th grade, it was my turn to be blessed by menstruation. I pulled down my panties one fateful morning and was met by the sight of a reddish-brown stain. I immediately assumed that I had sharted. Immediately melting with the 2 words, shit and fart. Despite all the sex ed classes, YA novels, and stories from friends, I didn't have enough information to distinguish shit from menstrual blood.
The only time I go without my bra is when I shower. For fear of stretch marks and of them sagging down to my belly button, feeling like my skin will rip from the weight. I'm insecure, but I'm not secure.
After a few days of continued bloodshed, it finally dawned on me. My period was here. I couldn't believe I so completely missed the moment that I transformed into a woman.
My first car was presented to me with a pair of keys with a bright silver whistle dangling on the other end. My mother's addition because men can't help themselves. Men can't help themselves like a 5-year-old can't, presented with a fun toy. Toddlers that get a little rough and handsy, bruises, ripped nipples, casualties in the war of love. A tantrum when I hint at breast reduction surgery.
I felt ripped off, so I told my mom. The girls in Judy Bloom's books who got their periods were gifted with shopping trips and congratulatory cakes. All I got was a box of tampons and a hand mirror.
I'm scared to walk alone, to wear a 2-piece swimsuit, to exercise. I'm scared to have a daughter, because I passed my genetics and my torture onto her. Now I just wait and hope they don't get bigger. Wait until I can chop them off, waiting. Living in
periods are not met with praise.
Other girls my age have little wrapped gifts, secret saved for Valentine's Day and motherhood. I wish I could be one of those girls.
Periods are just a simple fact of life if you have a vagina. They don't grant womanhood and they're not a gift. But Bloom wasn't wrong to push for positivity towards periods. So often, women are mocked for menstruation, mocked for a natural bodily function. Maybe periods themselves aren't worthy of praise, but the people who have to put up with the blood, cramps, and ridicule sure as hell are.
I wish I could be one of those girls, but I am a museum exhibit. One too shy, too poor to afford a sharply dressed attendant to firmly remind the public to keep your fucking hands off the art.
Girls don't poop, right? When men go to the bathroom, they can choose between a urinal and a stall. So don't you know that when they pick the stall, they have to be shitting? Women's bathrooms are much more ambiguous. You can only tell what they're doing in there from the sound of what hits the water. And so, it's always the goal to make as little noise as possible. Or if there's no way around it, we women do our best to make the cutest little bathroom sound together. That's why we don't pee, or poo, or piss, or shit. We tinkle! Other women who drop toilet paper over the surface of the water as a sound barrier to Wouldn't it be so embarrassing if somebody caught you having natural body processes? And then it's the end of the world if you accidentally let out a fart. Waste from your body. Was it a cute fun at least? Why is it such a big deal to make these sounds in a public bathroom? It seems like it's the place where you're most allowed. I would think the bathroom is where you can go to escape all the expectations that you have to deal with when your pants are on and people are around. Once you find a stall where the lock actually works, and you get over to the fact that if somebody really wanted to, they could totally look through the crack in the door. What? You can start getting hungry. So, relax. Stop controlling yourself so much and holding back all the things that are naturally supposed to come from your body. I mean it when I say, let it all out. Traditional standards of femininity already dictate how you need to dress, how you need to speak, how you need to flirt, how you need to sit. But why did they tell you how you need to sit when you're sitting on the toilet? When you sit on a throne, you can do whatever you want.
How are you all liking the show so far? So I do have to say that when this idea first started, it was supposed to be like a 1-hour open mic night kind of thing. And so it's really amazing to see us having to pull out more chairs. So I'm like so happy you're all here. So as I mentioned, we used to do the Vagina Monologues for about 12 years, and one of the traditions we started a few years ago was that we would acknowledge and give an award to a couple of people on campus who were real big supporters of the program and like the mission of social justice, and were huge advocates. And so this year we named it the Phenomenal Woman Award, and we couldn't choose just one person, so we chose two. And so it's all in the program, and you should read them. We worked really hard on making them. So this award is going to be given to two individuals on campus. One is actually no longer with us. She left Cal Poly back in February to go back east, and so we would still like to acknowledge her today. But the two people we would like to acknowledge are and still continue to be extreme supporters of social justice, of inclusion, of diversity, of all of those things that we're really, really striving to make better at Cal Poly, to create a stronger sense of belonging for everybody. And they really provided a lot of mentorship and advocacy. They taught me a lot, they taught the students a lot, they made a huge impact on campus. And to tell you the truth, like they really, really helped me in the Gender Equity Center and the Cross-Cultural Centers advocate for OWN. Anytime that there's a change, especially at Cal Poly, change is scary, even though it happens all the time. It's scary, it's different to like move from the norm. And so they really, really helped me in advocating to create OWN and for letting us change from the Vagina Monologues to this whole new vision, this whole new ideas. We really, really wanted to take a moment to thank them for not only that, but for everything that they do, for feminism, for empowerment, and just for the voices and all of our students at Cal Poly. So at the time, we would like to acknowledge the one who is no longer here, Ruth de Jesus. She was the former assistant director of the Cross-Cultural Centers. The Gender Equity Center is one of 3 cross-cultural centers, along with the Pride Center and the Multicultural Center. So she was only here for a short time, but she made such an amazing impact. And we would also like to acknowledge Dr. Jane Mayer. Up if you are. We would like to give you we have flowers for you too, but we forgot them. We'll find you, we'll give them to you. And then I think that was it. I think, yeah. So, I know that a lot of people are not Cal Poly students, so all those snaps that you hear, it's a huge Cal Poly thing. So make sure that if you hear something, you see something, you really want to, some of the actresses give a little snap, a little woo-woo, raise, look at that, little hands and stuff. So make a lot of noise, continue all of the positive vibes that you all are doing. And so without further ado, we will continue with the show.
uninvited. All I wanted was for someone to tell me it was going to be okay. But all I could do was just withdraw into myself and push the people closest to me away.
My depression, at its worst, was like an empty pill bottle. Its insides spilled across my dresser. It was spending the night in the emergency room, staring down an MRI machine as it scanned the contents of my stomach. In that moment, my fear of death was gone, and the idea of suicide became so real that I began to find solace in it.
It was all too much for her. She didn't know what to do, unsure of how to handle this new, unpredictable me. It ended with a bang. To lose a best friend is to lose a part of your soul. There's no one left to comfort you after she's gone. Pictures of her face decorated my walls. Trinkets of our friendship laid about my floor. And our last conversation still sat dying on my phone. She was my first murderer.
Swallowing those pills was the closest I ever got to committing suicide. Until then, everything felt like an empty threat. But with each little red pill that I swallowed, came one step closer to finally ending my debate between life and death.
I slowly tried to pull my pieces back together, to live through my senior year with some semblance of a big smile on my face. But God, it hurts so bad. I still feel your loss. Coming to Cal Poly made me feel even more alone. All these girls still have their best friends from high school, whose glossy photos hang on their dorm room walls, who they still text and FaceTime, who they can still visit back home. How can I make friends now
woman. A penis had entered me, and that meant I was irrevocably changed for better or for worse. But I felt the opposite of fulfillment. I felt that I was lacking something. I studied abroad in Paris the following year. After weeks of bumbled efforts, I finally perfected my version of the Parisian mystique. I was approached in a bar one night by no boy. This man spoke 4 languages, owned a sprawling apartment in the heart of Paris, and ate me out like nobody's business. Womanhood. I returned to my hometown the summer afterwards and lived with my parents. While I was away, my father retired early. But he only retired because it was no longer safe for him to drive a car. 18 years ago, when I was 2, my father was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease. He was an all-American man, tall, athletic, charismatic, and smart. He would drive me to school singing the soundtrack to West Side Story at the top of his lungs and made the car dance by repeatedly stepping on the brakes. He's the man who ruins all other men for you. But Parkinson's took everything from you. And it took him away from me. I felt trapped in that large house that summer, weighed down by the fact that he was always there, but never actually present. The medications he took eased his pain, but dulled his mind past recognition. I hated myself for wanting to leave, to get out from under him and the weight and the pressure and the house, to return to college, to continue my life as a free sexual spirit. I had to get back to where I could be a woman, and there was no way I could be one surrounded by suffering and disease. My mother worked 60 hours a week since I was a kid. She would make dinner every night, and she'd leave board meetings early to coach my soccer team. That summer, she'd come home in a rush, and the first thing she'd do was make my dad dinner. She spent her weekends cooking food for him for the week so that he didn't have to. He called them MREs, meals ready to eat like in the army. It was sporadic, but his humor sometimes broke through the disease. She brought that out. At night, she'd sit with him downstairs, stroking his head and kissing his cheek, making slow, easy conversation. Usually, he didn't reply. He couldn't. She must have felt like she was talking to herself. She must have felt so much. This man she pledged her life to in sickness and in health, the shell of his former glory. Her children were grown and she was alone in this house with this man. She hugged him tenderly and told him good night. I looked on from a distance. I knew this was womanhood. She's the type to take care of you before herself. But she's her own worst critic. My Tia, she's the loudest of the family. But I love her for that. She has that it is what it is type of mentality, and she's a firm believer in tough love. My Tia, she has a very perceptive eye. And my father always felt threatened about how much she noticed him. I was 20 when my parents divorced. In those 20 years that I lived with them, I didn't see half of what my Tia saw in their relationship. I didn't know how suffocated my father made my mother feel. I didn't see how much weight substance abuse put on her shoulders. But my Tia, she noticed all of this and more. I didn't understand it at the time, but my Tia saw how toxic my father was to our livelihoods, especially my mother's. She knew exactly how he would react to the separation. She knew that he would play the victim. She knew that his tendencies would intensify, and she knew that he would deny all responsibility. When my father manipulated my mother and made her feel like her safety was at risk, my Tia was there to protect her and support her. When my father tried to ruin my mother's reputation and splendor, my Tia was there to build up her spirits. My Tia was the rock my father never was. My Tia was the support my mother never had. My Tia was my mother's strength when she had given up all of hers. My mother and my Tia are the strongest people I know. They have always been supportive of each other and of me, even when their own lives weren't easy. My mother and Tia's relationship is my inspiration. What they have is real love, the kind of love we all need in our lives.
When she asked me if I wanted a vibrator and offered to buy it for me, I very quickly tried to change the subject. My mother and I are very close. I can tell her everything most of the time I do. But at 15, vibrator is the last word you want to hear come out of her mouth. Especially when she's referring to her sex life.
We were never close, my mother and I. She hates my clothes and the way I do my eyebrows, picks up the fat on my sides, twitching her upper lip, but she just wants to fight it off. She types out my language. She tells me I am my father's child.
Because as a teenager, there's a certain amount of shame that is associated with your sexual desires. Even the fact that she thought I might want a vibrator made me cringe. As if the thought that I masturbated would change her opinion of me. As if the bond between a mother and a daughter could be wrecked that easily.
I lost my virginity 2 days before my mother's birthday. I never told her because our conversations only circled around money, luck, fingernails, those sorts of things.
In middle school, I learned that boys masturbate all the time, and that was common knowledge. Never was it talked about that women and girls can do it too, not in the media, in
that night, and we sat together in silence, but she was for once thinking of me.
I turned down my mom's offer. I didn't get a vibrator until years later. But what I did get for the first time in my life was the knowledge that it's okay that I masturbate. It's okay that I love myself.
You're dressed to impress, wanting to wear more, but going with less. To add to your stress, your walk to the party is an absolute mess. Disappointment dawns each passer's face. Who knows, you'll be pushed past second base and be treated like meat at this place. But you managed to shake the disgrace.
I don't want to go. I can't go. No, I need to go.
You walk faster, but soon are aware of the weight of a thirsty stare, giving you chills, crawling up your hair. The shame will be over once you're there.
Please stop staring at me with those eyes.
But he knew you'd arrive. He hands you a cup and in you dive. Free jungle juice, so you drink 5. Just enough for the buzz to survive.
I'm fine. I won't stay long.
You dance and grind until you sweat. And balance is becoming a threat, but you can't stop until you let the other girls know you're the best dancer yet.
Okay, please stop grasping me with those little rough hands.
His kisses are bitter and taste like weed, but you've already planted the seed. He thinks you'll satisfy his need, otherwise you're a tease and a weed. Your stomach is sick from the drinks, or because somehow he thinks all the cheers and the clinks will be paid back in more than just winks.
His cologne is plastered across my breast. His voice and hot breath in my ear.
In too deep and far too drunk, you smile, but your heart is sunk, thinking tonight as you lie in his bunk and pretend to be impressed by his junk.
I'm not fine. I should go home now.
With a sorrowful face and intention of flight, you say,
Look, the alcohol isn't sitting right.
looks like it just won't happen tonight. Keeping from puking will be a fight.
I'm gonna go to the bathroom. I'll be right back.
He knows it's a lie, but he agrees, thinking as he looks away with unease, the night would have ended with you on your knees. He's pissed. You're indeed a tease.
Why can't I speak up? For the last 10 minutes, I've been rehearsing in my head how to tell you to stop touching me. I open my mouth to say the word no. Nothing comes out.
But with a peck, you ask him to leave. Then, you sit alone and grieve. There's a guilt you cannot believe. You wasted his time. You were naive.
I'm hiding in your bathroom, staring at my tear-stained face in the mirror. How many times can I look out that window and think about climbing out of it before I finally find the courage?
You made him believe you would put out, or was it his fault for having no doubt? It's just college either way. That's what going out is all about.
Being a woman can be hard. It can be painful, overwhelming, dangerous, violent. It can be traumatic. We can't talk about womanhood without talking about the oppression that comes with it. The next few pieces are stories of women who have shared their stories regarding sexual violence. Their stories come from voices of strength, healing, and resilience.
touching faintly, the heat radiating from your body. Yes, you always seem so warm. 100 kisses exchanged under the recessed lighting behind the bar. This is how it started. Your fingers playfully touching my tangled hair behind my ear, your hushed voice sending signals down my spine like I'm just being through a wire. 100 full moons on a clear night. You emit light that blinds me from this fog. I see nothing but goodness in you, but all I feel is sandpaper on my skin. The pressure of your aching hand forced up against my neck, the sharp pain of your teeth against my breast. Your flannel in the corner of the room is the same color as the blood smeared across my chest. 100 times I tell you to be gentle. A pack of condoms on the nightstand. You're saying, teach me how they fuck in California. Right now, I just want to learn to give away. Your beard feels like barbed wire on my flesh. Your lips are broken glass. I pray to God you don't do this to any other girl. 100 tears shed from my bloodshot eyes. A pack of band-aids. The scene of you attacking my body replays in my mind, unwilling to stop. The words ouch and softer still feel heavy on my tongue. I leave the morning after. My scarf is wrapped around my wounded neck. The high-collared black shirt covers my bruised collarbones. You had left while I was still asleep. I feel like a blank canvas you have painted on, caked in dark colors, painted on by harsh bristles and quick, uncaring strokes. I will never be shown in an art museum or sold at a fair. There is a heart under my scarred nipple, and you have changed, but can no longer affect me.
My 5 cousins took advantage of my vulnerability, took advantage of my body. I never knew what they were doing was wrong, and a simple no never seemed to work. I hated those trips to Candyland where I tried to surround myself with candy and with love, when in reality I found myself surrounded by roaches and lust. I still remember everything. I remember darkness as they entered the door. I saw it trailing behind them as they made their way towards me. I remember the silence, the clock taunting me with its ticks. It's not over. He's still going. How much longer? It made me fear the quiet. I remember the sour taste of their mouths and their cold, slimy teeth, and their dry, cracked, immature lips kissing and indirectly whispering, "You're mine." I remember their hands traveling and making a map of my body, familiarizing themselves with pressure points to paralyze me. My body turned numb and cooperative. I recall blaming myself. I do blame myself. But I protested no. I resisted their heavy bodies and their horrid, evil souls. I know I'm not to blame for this, but my body can't help but negatively react to anyone showing affection. It can't help but turn blue when our lips touch, or when they reach for my clothes, my neck, and my shoulders. My
appreciate myself. I found beauty in myself to overcome all that has happened. I am told I am kind, I am beautiful. And when friends of mine find out my history, they put me on some sort of pedestal, like my story is some heroic inspiration. No. My story is common. It is far too common. Any person of any background can have a story like that. Just because you wouldn't think a girl like me went through this does not make my story invalid. Just because society deems me beautiful does not make my story valid. There is no beauty in what I went through, so please stop trying to make it an honorable and beautiful thing. But still, to all those I confided in the past, I love you. Thank you for your kind words. I will take them wherever I go, just as long as you remember these words.
Do you remember that one time we hung out the whole day and we got so tired and took a nap in the back of your car? I remember waking up with you on top of me and suddenly we were messing around. Or at least, I'm sure that's how you remember it. All I can remember when I opened my eyes was that I was stunned. I couldn't believe what was happening. You were so heavy. I remember your weight so clearly because I wanted to laugh. I was hysterical. That moment in the back of your car, in the middle of a parking lot, was just so typical. But I couldn't laugh because you'd already taken the breath away from me. Stolen not in awe of your beauty or like you knocked the breath out of me. The moment you mounted me, I began to deflate, defeated, like a balloon robbed of its air. You were doing plenty of breathing though, heaving and sighing, your ego so inflated, I imagine you were saying what you thought was dirty talk. And it worked. Your lips at my ear made me feel absolutely filthy. A feeling that not even a shower can wash away. But I tried it. You wouldn't slow down. You seemed so impressed by your size, your dominance, your stealth. I wanted for you to ask. I want so badly to believe I would have said no. No. It's such an empty word. Like a promise waiting to be broken, a key to a jammed lock. Fuck you! For being so entitled, for taking what wasn't yours. For expecting I was inexperienced instead of unwilling. When I asked you why you hadn't kissed me, you looked in my eyes and without hesitating said, I only kiss girls with me. And I believed you. My favorite color has always been gray. The in between of light and dark, the shade of the shadows, the color of confusion. With you, I saw myself at an in-between. A step before the next big thing. In the back of your car, you fogged the windows and blurred the lines, and maybe it was okay because I never said no. Maybe it was wrong because I never said yes.
process. Especially when your heart tells you you should be one thing, and the world tells you something completely different. Self-discovery is a never-ending journey, with just as many smooth roads and beautiful sunsets as there are unexpected potholes and flat tires. Coming to terms with your identity is no easy feat. There are no shortcuts or side streets or carpool lanes to make the journey easier. And that journey is made even more difficult when it involves falling for someone the world has forbidden you from falling for.
When I wrote this, I had just turned 25 and was seriously struggling with my sexual orientation. But in the years since I wrote this letter to my former therapist, I've had many more positive experiences with women and now identify as bisexual. In part because of my history with an eating disorder, I had spent my entire life viewing women as a competition for the prize of a man's love, which made it incredibly painful and disorienting to realize that I wanted love from a woman. This is why I thought I couldn't be bisexual. Marie drove us down to LA on Thursday for my audition. As we talked, she told me that she is now not just fucking her cinematographer, but dating him. Halfway through the drive, she told me to stop to admire an absolutely stunning sunset. I put my hand around her waist and she put her arm around my shoulders, lost in the colors of the sky and the feel of her body, so slim and delicate. It felt divine, but it felt so painful to know that I wouldn't get to have this feeling with her for more than an empty moment. But our relationship felt so intimate, so effortless. We talked so easily, sharing jokes and her same sense of humor and playful flirtations and stories. God, by the end of that drive, I was absolutely head over heels for her. No woman had ever been more beautiful. The sight of her smile and her body and her voice made me melt. I had never in my life been so utterly, unambiguously, irrefutably attracted to a woman before. I felt like I could love her. I felt like I would. Eventually, I worked up the courage to be honest. I told her that I really wanted her, and it felt really shitty when she told me she couldn't be with me because she didn't want to complicate our professional relationship or commit to anyone, only to have her commit to someone else she already works with. She said she admired how honest I'd been, and that if things didn't work out with the cinematographer, maybe she'd want to try with me. We drove down to Hollywood for our party. Once we got there, she introduced me to everyone at the party, including him. He was handsome, okay? He was friendly and he was warm. Of course she'd end up with someone like this. At the end of the night, I kept them to say goodbye, thinking maybe I wouldn't see them. But I did. And for the first time in my life, I hated a woman. Not for being more beautiful than I was, but for not loving me back. And for the first time, I hated a man. Not for wanting another woman instead of me, but for taking the woman of my dreams away from me. Now, I know what you're going to tell me.
teacher had taken the liberty to erase Hispanic and fill in the bubble next to white. I was hurt and confused, but I didn't understand why. I realize now my teacher had taken away my right to choose my own identity. But I know who I am. I am Andrea. I am a hybrid. My mother, Latina, my father, Caucasian. A product of two cultures fused at my core.
Born from fire. Nicaraguan mother, Persian father, united to make a child not afraid to speak or act, not afraid to make ripples and waves and earthquakes. I was born in love with being a woman, inspired to inspire other women to love themselves. Seeing the world through gender has led my life. To fight, to question, to ask why, to say no, and to make new paths for women after me. I am woman. Yes, I am. I was born from air, often laughing till I cannot find enough air to breathe. I float in and out of different spaces and different places, but always come back to my family. I am flexible, like a pile of steel bricks weighing so heavy, my quadriplegic father reminds me to not take my abilities for granted. Lightness is key to my life. Being adaptable has allowed me to keep on living while knowing my father wants to die. I am woman. Yes, I am. I was born from water. I am in everything. Noisy, curious, always asking why, always thinking how. I go with the flow, yet I need answers. Seeing the world, water is in everything, and so are women. Women make and continue and inspire life. I am proud to be this gender. I am woman. Yes, I am. I was born from this earth. I was born to help this earth. I am constantly using my women's strength to cut through the bullshit, to find solutions, find ways to heal, create knowledge, inspire gratitude, and to sometimes my fire gets in the way. Sometimes people don't like me. Women are hard on themselves. I am woman. Yes, I am. I am strong. I am determined. I make life. I continue life. I cannot do this without other women. I need you. We need each other. Can we come together to make this world stronger, better, and more kind, more human? We are one, aren't we?
Very few have told me that it's okay if I love myself.
We're so much more than a couple vectors.
It's normal for women to have hair. We carry the strength of the universe with you.
Smooth sailing from here, just orgasms and sexual confidence.
My inner labia hangs lower than my outer labia. I thought I couldn't be bisexual.
I am from my people, mi comunidad latina.
My body is crisscrossed with scars.
My biggest insecurity is society's favorite subject.
We are nowhere near perfect, but we are strong.
I'm a blend of two cultures, two histories.
Feminism isn't going anywhere.
parts of your life. You're embracing your story.
I am a woman. And my story is not just my own. My story is all of ours.
And thank you to all the actresses for pouring their hearts out tonight. Can we please have another round of applause? So we just want to thank everyone for coming out tonight to the very first production of OWN, which hopefully becomes a tradition here at Cal Poly, like the Vagina Monologues once was. Before this night comes to a close, we just have a lot of thank yous that we need to do because there are a lot of women involved in this production, a lot of people involved in this production. First of all, to our amazing, beautiful cast, thank you for sharing a chunk of your life to work on OWN with us. We were working on this for 2 months, and they were there like every day of the week. They were there. And thank you to my assistant director, Molly. Directing this thing, so I couldn't have done this without her. I would also like to thank my endlessly encouraging and amazing boyfriend, Jose. I would also like to thank all the theater people who came on literally last second. They came yesterday, and they helped make this production what you saw tonight. I'd like to thank Nathan, Lara, Beatrice, very different without them. And then we have to thank the people that OWN wouldn't exist without, our incredibly brave writers who decided to submit to our production. We thank you for sharing your hearts with us. And come find us over there after the show because we have gifts for you all of you that wrote a piece in the show. And Molly, more thank yous.
So, first of all, thank you to Taylor because rock through this entire experience, and I'm just so glad that I was able to share it with you. Thank you to our absolutely amazing production team, because without you this would not be possible, and we would like you to please come forward now. Please. So much
much hard work, and it was just so amazing to be able to work with all of them. And last but not least, thank you so much, Tammy and Emma. Thank you for everyone for coming out and experiencing this with us, because we really, really appreciate it. Yeah.
I, in addition, would love to thank, I already did a lot of thank yous. I'm a very thankful person. It's not even Thanksgiving, which is I'm not going to go there, Thanksgiving. As the coordinator, and I'm sure all the other coordinators in the room can say that we do this for the students, and to see them, I'm a crier. I'm a thankful crier. To see them transform, and like they already became a strong, powerful women, and to see them transform to something that was even greater than that you didn't even know was possible is amazing, and it's why I do what I do, and all of this stuff, and I'm just not even eloquent right now. But I want to thank the cast, because we had 16 slots and we had over 65 people audition, so they all did good. Every single person who auditioned gave so much. It was like they really contributed to this whole production, and all of the love and the effort and the time, and I hope you all kept your studies going. Sometimes school gets in the way of like everything, you know? So I just want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart. I'm so glad that you're part of the Cross-Cultural Center and Gender Equity Center families, and I hope that this is not the last of you I see, and that you all come back, and if you are graduating, come back and see. It's the hardest part of our jobs. We get attached and we leave and we graduate, and it's like a broken relationship. And to my directors, it was a joy working with you. Words cannot even express the creativity, the power, and the magic that you created today, and how you were so easy to work with, and it was a joy. You were the perfect people for these positions, and thank you so much for everything that you did. And to my little babies, thank you. And then also, a lot of these people were like, for lack of better terms, like repeat offenders. Like some of them were in the cast and submission, like all Molly and Taylor, they did everything. Like they were involved in every single aspect of this. All of this creativity, a lot of your power comes not just from being on stage, but of like the other ways that you can contribute to storytelling, and it was amazing. And then last but not least, Emma, who's hiding over there. So I'm a little nutty, and when I like lose my cool, she's always a calm, cool, collected person. She's a graduate assistant, and she is amazing. I can't wait for her to graduate, because she's going to change the world, and I'm absolutely sad she's graduating, so I'm going to keep her forever. But thank you so much for everything that you did. And then at this time, I would like to have those who feel comfortable standing for those who submitted. It would be awesome for us to acknowledge you for sharing your stories with us tonight. And you don't have to stand if you don't want to. I know some of you decided to leave them. If you feel comfortable. We have roses for everybody, so please, submissioners, if you would like to come to the front of the stage. Thank you so much. And thank you all for coming and sharing your time with us. And thank you for making this night possible.
I took the microphone. we want to thank Tammy. If you can come up to the front, Tammy, please. You have helped us so much with everything. GC stuff, with mentoring us, with talking to us, listening to us, everything, and we really appreciate you. And all of this is you. Say something else.